Hello, everyone.
Okay.
Shall we establish a quorum?
Yes, we need 1 second.
Absolutely.
Okay. So 6:30, and you've called the meeting to order. We can establish a quorum. Vice Chair Wheeler.
Here.
Commissioner Fawcett.
Yes.
Commissioner Bedard. Commissioner G. Commissioner Carter is absent. Chair Crane is absent. And we have a quorum of 4.
Okay, thank you. So shall we do the pledge of allegiance?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, at this time, if there is anyone from the public who would like to make a comment on items not on the agenda, please raise your hand virtually. There's no one in the audience here.
We have no attendees at this time.
Okay, thank you. So the first item for consideration is the minutes from the May meeting. I just have one correction. I just wanted to note, and that's on number 9, subcommittee reports. Commissioner Fawcett is still listed. She needs to move to services. Other than that, I have none. Oh, no other edits. Does anybody else have any edits? Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? Okay, I'll second. Would you take your vote?
Vice Chair Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner Fawcett,
Yes. Commissioner
Commissioner Bedard,
Yes.
and Commissioner G.
Yes.
That passes unanimously with 4 votes.
Thank you. The next item for consideration is the main library patio project.
So Jennifer is joining virtually, but I will present. Yeah. So, as many of you have become aware that we do have this patio project, and the latest presentation is in the packet, and it's in draft form at this moment, but we are hoping to go to City Council on June 27th, with the idea that the project would be fully funded with the donor, $500,000 from the donor, and 1.5 million for Lolly, which we have yet to, they have to vote on it. And so part of the process of going to City Council, we learned is, we do need letters of support, and we need maybe somebody from the commission, if possible, to speak as a commissioner in public on it. So we plan to have a letter of support from the Friends, a letter of commitment from Lolly, the letter of commitment from the donor. We already have the MOU, the letter of support from the history museum that's been provided to us. And it would be great to have the support of the commission on this project. So I'm here to answer questions if anybody has any prior, about the project in general.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Rose. Does anyone have questions for Rose about the project?
Additionally, I just allowed Jennifer to join, so if there are questions for Jennifer as well, she is a panelist now.
Fantastic, thank you. Carol, we're just going over the item number 2, the patio, main library patio.
I didn't bring it with me. I just came from the city.
Does anyone have any questions?
I just have a comment. I'd like to reserve comment on the proposal and get a further proposal of what you guys are trying to do. This is really the first I've seen of this, and I'm grateful that I was actually able to see what was going on. I have some concerns, but they, believe it or not, have to do with scope. They have to do with who the donor is. Because as, I'm gonna report in on my subcommittee report, I wrote a fairly extensive paper about how donations are done in libraries, countrywide, and I hope somebody's gonna read it. It would
It's on
be
your
nice.
website, right? The one.
It's on the website, but it's also in the minutes.
Yeah.
The PDF didn't come out quite exactly. It's there. But the idea is that there are checklists, there are, how does this county do it? I deal with that. Anyway, I just want to reserve comment on that. Really based on that. Overall, I want to see an expansion of it. I think that going for a patio project where there are, and this is my own personal feeling, I'm stating it, to the commission, where there's other funding available, and I know there's concern that we'll lose the funding for it, but I really, really, really believe that our library needs to be looked at from a post-COVID world. Another thing we've done is, what do you do with obsolescent technology? There's plenty of that around that can be looked at, and funds can be, really put to use for greater services, and I'd like that considered as part of this, if at all possible, in the commission to have that voice. So that's really my only reservation on it. I am, all go and for it. I just want to comment.
Well, I hope I can answer some of your questions. So the donation is actually going to go through Lolly, and that donation will come from Lolly with Lolly's funding to the library. Because the donor did approach Lolly first, and that's how this idea actually was inspired and developed. And so I did actually send that website to Jennifer. We did review it from your website about that. And we have looked into that, and there is a budget in there for recognition. If you see on the details of that. And when you talk about post-COVID, I think this hits the nail on post-COVID. Outdoor spaces there is a huge need for those, even before COVID. And so we did base an idea based on community needs and the needs assessments that have been done already from 2018 to show that we need more space in the library. So this kind of covers the space and the outdoor space, because I think people prefer outdoor space, for post-COVID, as you would say, to feel maybe safer. And so it expands the programming potential that we have. That it's 7,700 square feet, and incorporates the orchard, highlights the orchard, and it's like a win-win for the community. So I hope that answers some of your.
The Lolly, I mean, I'm not a practicing attorney, but the Lolly, you might. Or license, thank you. But the Lolly, I don't know that going through Lolly to get the donation through, I mean, it's still city land at the end of the day. And I would argue that, they would have to vet that. I mean, it would just make good sense to vet that.
There's gonna be a public bidding process still that's gonna.
I meant in terms of the donor, apologies for interrupting, in terms of who the donor is.
Okay.
Because it will, I gotta tell you, if the donor, I don't know.
Are you talking about the city?
No, just who the donor for the monies are. If that donor is shed to light, comes to light. Well, even if you vet by Lolly, the city still is on the hook.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Rose, would it be fair to say that this is still in the preliminary stages, that you guys have a
Yeah.
conceptual design,
Yeah.
you have a rough order magnitude cost estimate,
Yeah.
that the vote in the city council is more one around, do you support this project?
What?
Yes, exactly. And there will be an advisory group after city council approves it and the planning commission approves it, that we hope to include a member of the commission on this advisory group to make those finer details, to make those decisions, because we do need, community input to, this is more kind of the outline of the like, as Melvin said, the concept to be able to move forward.
If you want to tell, I'm not sure the peer knows anything about the donor, but just a few details. This is really a donation being made from his parents, I understand, who the son approached Lolly. They appreciated the fact that their son grew up here in Los Altos using the main library, and they have an enormous appreciation of the Los Altos Library, and they wanted in their late years to do something to recognize their in the library. And so they approached Lolly because they had a personal relationship with someone on our donor team, and said that they wanted to give money. The son is representing his parents. It's important to them that, it's important, I think, more so perhaps to the son, that something get done while his parents are still alive, so that they can see the donation, how it actually was used. And of all the things that they discussed with the library as far as the feasibility of some of the things, they were unfeasible because of the structure, et cetera. But this was a project that the library staff suggested because it was considered to be so appropriate and necessary. And it is interesting here, just I know I've looked into how much outdoor library space has grown, and it is really something that libraries are developing all over, not only this country, but the world, as an amazing resource that they really hadn't tapped into before.
And it aligns with our strategic plan. And I think it's been mentioned before, with the entrance that we're going to have from the children's room, we are redoing the children's spaces at all the libraries, and we hope to make both of them kind of align together to make it one, one very huge, important project that benefits the community with the children's space and leading into the patio.
And these are residents, long time residents of Los Altos, so they are known to the community.
I appreciate that, but all I'm saying is somebody needs to vet it, that's all. That's my only comment. And it's, because the city's reputation, and the county's at the end of the day is, and that was a big part of the studies that I looked at.
Does anybody have any questions, Christine? Or I know.
I have one comment. As kind of a business person, I like the fact that the dollars per square foot for building outside is much lower than inside. And then secondly, that this would allow us to them to have some of the activities outdoors that you currently have indoors that create noise, for example, such as students.
And children's.
Messy activities, yes. And also, if Lolly does fund it, we would be able to incorporate more STEAM activities which align with Lolly's mission for science and technology.
Correct. Any other questions? So,
I will reserve comments on this and get to everybody.
so procedurally, I need to ask you a question. The library would like to have some measure of support from the commission.
Right.
We have a quorum. Can we put that out tonight?
Yes, you can make a motion, however you want to word it, for that support, that you support this project. And
So let me.
Before we move on, Rose, are there any other slides that you need me to show? I only have the one.
Oh, you only have the first one?
Well, no, I have all of
I
them.
see. Oh,
I only
yeah.
had the one visible.
Yeah, I think if other questions come up, we could go to the
Okay,
slide.
so I'll leave it up.
Yeah.
picture of it, which is nice. Okay.
I can leave it up, and if there are any other questions, I can move in between the slides. I just didn't want to
Thank you.
progress without direction.
This also gives our vast viewing audience at home,
Yeah.
some visibility. Of course, they can also access the packet. This is in the meeting packet.
Yes.
This is the Gilroy patio.
Oh, that's Gilroy. Oh, I thought it was
We are, I think, one of the few libraries that doesn't have an outdoor space that is used for programming or anything. So. Okay, I'm going to try to make a motion. I move that the Library Commission support the main library patio project as represented in the materials that Rose presented tonight. Granted, understanding that this is conceptual and it's in an early stage, but that the Library Commission is supportive of this project.
I second.
Do we have a vote? Is that a decent?
I cut off some of the end and I just put, did the Library Commission support the main library patio project as represented in the 6-1 materials presented by the county?
Thank you.
I've done that with Park a few times. I have a second by Commissioner Carter.
I want a friendly amendment,
Okay.
if possible. Preliminary support. I would add preliminary. support.
Preliminarily.
I'm not ready to give full support. The way it's, you can structure it now, you will get a no vote from me. The way as written.
Would you accept that, would you accept this language? The library supports the concept of the patio project as outlined by the materials in the packet.
I will, but I can't let this one go in terms of comments as this moves forward. So yeah, that's fine. That works fine.
Okay.
And Carol, as the second, you also have to accept the friendly amendment. Okay. We can take a vote if there are no other friendly amendments.
So to clarify, would this allow somebody from the commission to speak at okay.
Yes.
I've never done this before, so.
Okay. Vice Chair Wheeler,
Yes.
Commissioner Fawcett, Commissioner Bedard,
Yes.
Commissioner G,
Yes.
and Commissioner Carter. Okay, that passes unanimously with 5.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is an update from Lolly, and is Cindy there?
She is. Let me make sure she can speak. No, she's unmuted.
Hello,
Oh, there you are.
hello. I just kept saying hello, figuring eventually I would connect technologically. So,
Hear you. Yeah, Cindy, would you like to appear visually?
sure,
Okay.
I
Let me
I
just-
brushed my hair.
Let me try this and see if that works.
Is she a panelist?
Yeah, she is a panelist. Cindy, do you have a video camera in your bottom left screen that says start video?
Yes,
Okay, click that. Oh,
here
there
I
we go.
am. Great, thank you. So hello, everyone. Just as a reminder, I'm currently the president of the Los Altos Library Endowment. And lately, for the last several months and these last 30 days, we've been spending a majority of our time on the patio project, we've been asking ourselves a number of questions. And then we've been asking and working with Jennifer and Rose about the design and the price, the cost of it. So we've been working through all of that. We have a special meeting scheduled for the executive group on Tuesday, this Tuesday at 4 o'clock. And we will be making, we'll see if we are at the point where we can vote and support the entire project with our funding. So I'm going to stop there and see if anybody has any questions before I go on to other topics. Okay, it's a huge project. It's a very exciting one. And I really appreciate how every group is taking the time and asking the questions and asking questions that only that one person thought of, but we all go, yeah, we should have, let's discuss that. So I appreciate that. And I also appreciate the confidentiality at this point of the donor. I don't think it's appropriate to say who the donor family is in case anything, if they decide to do something else with their funds or if the city decides not to accept it. So I really appreciate the process that we're going through. I know there's a better word, but it's escaping me at this point. The other things that we're working on is our donor appreciation event, which will be in the fall. It'll be in October, and identifying a science and technology focused speaker. And that the donor appreciation event will be for the donors, and then the speaker will be for the entire community. And then we're also trying to get back on track with Silicon Valley Reads. I know that the whole series has ended, but unfortunately, because of Los Altos power outage in March, we weren't able to hold the event, and the speaker and we and Silicon Valley Reads are looking for a date. And with vacations and her other speaking engagements, it's been difficult, but I'm looking forward to hearing her because I did read her book and I really enjoyed it. We have our next board meeting the second Tuesday of this month, and it will be at 4 o'clock or 4:30. As you all know, we used to meet at 8 o'clock in the morning, and on a Tuesday, we've switched it to the afternoon, and that's made it a lot easier for not only us as board members, but also our guests. And that's what I have for Lolly. So any questions? All right.
Thank you so much, Cindy. Thank you. Okay, do we have a representative of Friends of the Library? Yes, we do. Suzanne? Are you?
I have a written report from Elaine that I can read, and then maybe if you want to add anything. Okay,
Okay, thank you.
sure. The Friends had its May book sale, which was very successful. While the May sale is normally one of the smaller sales, we earned over $16,000 before expenses. This is close to what we earned in February, one of our bigger sales. In addition, we had about 25 teachers participating in Books for Schools who took over $2,000 worth of books for their classrooms. In addition, several nonprofits took advantage of 10 free bags on Bag Day for their charities. Our annual meeting will take place on Sunday evening, June 25th. Notice of the meeting will go out in a couple of weeks. At that meeting, we'll elect new officers and we'll award Super Friend aprons to about 15 new volunteers. This will be accomplished in a short business meeting that will be followed by a potluck dinner, and it's always very social and fun evening. All members are welcome to attend. We're currently beginning our budget process for the next fiscal year and have asked the library and community center to let us know their needs. Friends are delighted that the library and the library commission are also discussing some major library projects. We have additional assets for these and look forward to supporting whatever project or projects the groups decide to pursue.
Thank you.
Elaine.
Suzanne, do you have anything to add?
The ongoing sales for last month were 5,500 in the library, and it was 4-week month. Well, the way we count our week, and so that's $1,375 a week of sales made just from people coming to the library to take a free book from the library and decide to pay for one instead or in addition. So that's going well. And then, on what Elaine said, the 16,000 that we made from the May book sales. And then she said, in addition, there was 2,000, from Books for School. It's actually including the 2,000 from Books for School. But anyway, yeah, so the Books for School program is going very well. And I think you all know what that program is, where people donate money to the Friends. It's held in a special fund. And then when teachers come in, they can take as many books as they want for their classroom. And then when they come up to the register, they don't pay a cent for them. It all gets charged from them, from that fund pays for them. So it's wonderful support for our schools and teachers. And then the Friends were very much behind the library expansion project, and we had the board had committed $1 million toward that project if it ever gets off the ground. But hopefully it will. And so that's sort of where the Friends focus has been.
Thank you. Any questions? Or Suzanne?
Does the $16,000 include the substantial amount of cash that's spent on one of the books, the book sale?
Yes.
It's like $1,000, right?
Yeah, yeah. So sometimes our books that are donated with the cash gift that they had to receive. So some people receive a book for a gift and never open it. And so inside it, there's lots of special things inside a book you can discover, and then sometimes it's even cash. So it happens more often than you would think that we'll find like $200, and so you know it was like a graduation gift or something, and then the person came and bothered to open the book. So this is the first time it was $1,000, but yes, there was a book with $1,000 in it.
My grandmother is very upset. Thank you card.
I am just, maybe just paid. Anyway.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions for Suzanne? Okay, thank you so much, Suzanne. And now Cindy, could you please report and give us an update on the North County Library Authority, NCLA?
I think actually I do that one now.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Thank you.
No, it's okay. Cindy's probably thinking, wait, I'm supposed to do that. So we held our meeting a couple of weeks ago on Monday. You were gone.
Right.
And I'm happy to say that all of the administrative stuff that we've been doing is all caught up. The audit is accepted, all our bills paid, everything is lovely. And then we got a small surprise about filing an additional document, and Suzanne was able to save us, and we're all good. Everything is good. We're supposed to figure out how it's lovely. We'll have another meeting, and we will stop holding quite so frequent meetings, but we have a meeting scheduled for the end of June, and the discussion will center around how do we start looking ways to spend the money we have in the NCLA, which is a substantial amount of money. So that's where we will begin next. And the meeting date is June 26th at 5 p.m. But we'll post that as well.
Okay, I have a question if you don't mind. So I do know that NCLA was asked to get another opinion from the attorney. And I read your packet for your meeting.
It was a little vague.
It was a little vague. And it seemed to be, the only new piece of information that I pulled out of it was that there are definitely no restrictions for how those funds can be used after the parcel tax measure has expired. So in 2030, should there be any money left over, then that money could be used however could be.
I still think we could find any constraints.
Okay, correct.
Yeah.
And then, so are you going back to the attorney to ask the kind of more focused questions that Chair Crane had asked? Like, can this money be used for X, Y, Z specifics?
So my memory is that Chair and Chairman Crane were gonna start to develop a list of possibilities that we take to the lawyer. So
I see.
they need more
They need, okay,
specificity.
The subcommittee is drafting that.
okay, okay.
And, then we will ask lawyers to opine again. But start rolling up the process, and then also I think at June 26th, how to keep that process going along.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, I'll repeat what I asked the Los Altos City Council. Did the lawyer get my assessment of the JPA, and did the lawyer get my interpretation?
I don't think so, because I don't
Because-
think that's in it.
Well, it's been, because I gotta tell you, I was listening to the NCLA talk. And I'm seeing, it suddenly occurred to me, you hadn't read a thing I said. I mean, because I literally like picked the phrase that we need to read on, which are the funds for the general well-being of the inhabitants of the parcel? And if so, can they be used for expansion and things of that? Anyway, I was just a little surprised that they didn't even look at what I submitted, but before you hear it from somebody else, you deserve to hear it from me.
No, that's fine. It seems to have been a long process that had lots of moving parts, so trying to narrow the moving parts down to a few and go forward. All the other things that were kind of hanging around the NCLA, my feeling is those are all taken care of, and now we can focus on this. And that's kind of been my goal, and yeah, I'm sure we'll make mistakes going forward, so, but yes, as I've said many times, personally, I just want us to move forward and figure out how to spend this money. I have no other agenda item personally than that, so that's my goal, is to push that forward, and I expect everyone else will chime in and we'll figure out how to get there, but that's my
I've
goal.
always pushed for a very liberal interpretation.
And that may be what they come back with, so
That's what they gotta come back with.
So here, I think there's two things. There's a JPA for NCLA, and then there's a parcel tax language. The JPA is incredibly broad. It's basically anything to do with the library, NCLA could be in charge of. So it's incredibly broad. I mean, we could build buildings, we could do, so right now, the only funds that NCLA has come from a parcel tax. Parcel tax is restricted. So that's where the lawyers are coming and saying, you only can use these funds for the restrictive uses that are listed in the parcel tax. And so that the interpretation of those uses, that is what we keep going back to the lawyer about.
And we are looking at, Julie is looking at that. Specifically the part, we were looking at.
The parcel tax.
Yes,
Yeah.
which was written by Jolie.
But it's written by who?
Jolie.
It's
Oh,
our,
yeah.
our
Yeah,
city
yeah,
attorney,
exactly what.
our current city attorney. Can I ask another question about the parcel tax funds? So the parcel tax ends in 2030, and we continue to collect every year until 2030.
and we renew every year, so. And we renewed that every year, we just renewed it again, the next year we can say, no, we're not gonna collect anymore.
Okay. So, my understanding is that the library, because the district is well-funded, has not, requested a lot of, the
They haven't requested.
pre-pandemic, the pre-pandemic normal funds. Okay, so we have a surplus, but this is just a hypothetical. If the economy goes into the tank, like last year, the state had a 200-some billion excess surplus funds. This year, we have a $30 billion deficit. If that continues, and that means that the tax revenues for the county are less, which means the funding to the district might be less, which means that they may need these funds. Is it prudent to consider keeping those funds available in the event that the economy sours and they are necessary?
We did discuss a building model to keep some of the funds for that contingent. But right now, there's $8 million and we haven't ever used that much. So I mean, yes, we want want to keep a contingency, but it doesn't make sense to keep all of that as a contingency for funds, because we will continue to collect the tax, so.
Okay, so you've factored in that if you went back to the pre-pandemic spending level, and even say you went a little over, if you continue to collect the parcel tax, you will still have excess of funds in an amount that is substantial and could be used for a project.
Well, Suzanne certainly knows the numbers better than I do, but I think it was even before COVID, they had stopped needing the numbers. It's like for the last 5 or 6 years, they haven't needed the additional
Okay.
funds. So it's been collecting for quite a while. And we did discuss at the meeting that you want to make sure that if the economy goes down and we need the funds for operations, it should be there. But at this point, the amount that's there, we need to spend it on something that the taxpayers have been paying for.
Okay, I think that's really important for the taxpayers to know. Okay. So that there's no, you know, if, for example, the city or the attorney would come back with a favorable opinion, I think it would be real important for the taxpayer to know, taxpayers who are paying that parcel tax, to understand that this money isn't going to be needed and no longer available because it's been used on a project. You know what I mean?
Has Chuck's support and building a model to take that into account. So yeah, that was brought up and discussed. So
Okay.
it is definitely being considered.
Thank you. Anybody else have questions for NCLA representative? Pierre?
I intend to review your materials and comment on them.
Fine with me. I'm an open book, so. I have not read the minutes from the last one, maybe I did, I can't remember. Chrissy put them out very quickly.
Anybody else? Okay.
Can I add, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, this is what am I relatively, so Vice President NCLA. I just, and I couldn't hear so well, so my apologies if you stated this, but we didn't actually, at the last minute, we were presented with a budget, which was not correct. And so we have not passed the last budget, so that will be an important task at the next meeting, is to hopefully have a corrected budget that we can pass.
You are correct, Sally, sorry.
Oh,
All right, I couldn't really hear, so I wasn't sure you might have given that update.
oh, thank you. Okay, I didn't know you were on. So
Yeah.
can you, did they raise their hand? Did
She did.
I
raise her
did,
hand.
I did,
She
yeah.
did it right
Okay.
before she started
Okay.
speaking.
Sorry, Mayor, I can't see your hand to call on you, sorry.
Yeah, no worries, and I apologize for interrupting without being called on, but I figured that was the situation, so.
You needed
All
to.
right.
Thank you. Okay, so now we have the Santa Clara County Library District presentation, Rose. Thank
I
you.
think Jennifer was gonna do.
Oh,
the
Jennifer.
environment.
Yes, I am. Good evening, commissioners. I can see you. I know you can't see me, but I'm here. So I just wanted to give you some brief highlights of the report there in front of you. Of course, June 1st is our official first day of summer reading. I hope you have all signed up. This year's theme is Find Your Voice at the Library. So we have lots of wonderful events and of course, a huge focus on reaching out to youth in our community to make sure that they use this out of school time for extra learning, because we know that kids that stay reading during the summer do better when they go back to school. Additionally, I wanted to point out 2 really fun programs for teens. On the next page, Casey, we have what we are bringing back in person, the Battle of the Bands. So this is an exciting program that kids those budding musicians actually can apply through submitting a YouTube video to be part of our July 22nd event at the Milpitas Library. So there are cash prizes, they get recorded. It's really a fun event, and you see so much talent throughout our county. So it's going to be at the Milpitas Library. So it's not a quiet day at the library that day, but we look forward to having lots of teens participate. If you know a musical one, please send them our direction. Additionally, there's a teen bookmark contest. So again, more ways for teens to add their creativity during the summertime. So those are just a few highlights, and I know that Rose has some local information to share. Always happy to take any questions.
Okay, so locally, Los Altos, we, as you see, we do have your book bags. I do encourage you to sign up for summer reading online. On the flyer, you'll see the URL to reach our summer reading website to sign up. And a huge thank you to the friends who fund our programs and our prizes for the community and for many years. I mean, we have weekly programs, we have performers, some fun stuff. You'll see we have Happy Birds, we have Discovery, the Bat Lady is really awesome, and Insect Lab, Bubbles, and so we make it fun to encourage families to come into the library to participate in the program, participate in summer reading, and also you know, keep coming back. And we even have a little search and find where we hide a little character in the children's room, and every week that character moves and the kids have to come find it and they get a prize. So thank you again to the friends for that. Teens will get a little pouch with the flyer events for signing up, and for finishing, did you get a gift card to either Amazon or Starbucks, which is also funded by the and the children get a book for finishing. Let's see, what else? Oh, local programs, as I mentioned, for children. We do also have a teen lock-in. This is the after hours event. They hang out in the library, and Sarah, our teen librarian, has pizza for them with some snacks and activities. They could play video games, they could read, they could do, I'm not sure exactly the details, but she's very teen oriented more than me, so it's a lot of fun for them. And it's an annual event. Do you have a question?
Well, have they done it? I saw the advert on Facebook. Have they done the teen thing yet?
I don't think they have yet. I didn't pay attention to the date. Yeah, yeah, it's June 16th. So.
No.
It's always, she does it every year. And let's see. We also have a book bag craft that we do, and it's apparently when I told you that Los Altos, I didn't plan that program one year, and I was told by librarians that we have it every year, so it's been going on for many years. Kids get to decorate their own book bag, and so some people they bring it in for years to take home, and so that's also a fun program. Other programs to highlight, let's see, I think I have them in my presentation.
Further.
Oh, staff, you can look at the staff later. That's not so fun. There's nothing special, just regular, you know, steady stats. This is our craft from the book club that one of our children's librarians put together. This is our concert series with Mary Lee Sensory. They had every Tuesday, they had a special musician come in, and also funded by the Friends. And it was really promoting early literacy. Adult programming, you'll see the teen lock-in. We have our monthly World Affairs, our monthly travel nights as well. And for children's programs, these are just highlights. We have many more programs, but we have the Happy Birds. We have a summer book club, Camp Reads More, Sunday Crafternoon, which is for actually the whole family of all ages, and our very popular Furry Friends, where children could read to therapy dogs. So, and this has some more details about our Camp Reads More. And I do want to also thank Commissioner Fawcett and Commissioner Wheeler. We will be going to the Los Altos Hills Picnic this Sunday for outreach, and we'll have some library representation, some activities, signing people up for summer reading, and just talking about the library. Unfortunately, we won't have our GoGo Biblio because it's an electric vehicle and the battery needs to be replaced. So we're in process of getting that done. We usually bring it with us every year. So any questions? No, we'll just have staff with us. Yes. Yes.
Just, again, thanks for, working with the city and vice versa to like do the team thing and then using the, you know, this.
Can I see the naming rights one again?
That's
I think that's the next one.
Yeah, that's.
It'll come up. I just went too fast.
But the cooperation is great.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for working with us. Yeah.
Okay, let me get my, the city staff update.
I just, summer is coming, it's here, it's June 1st, and so we're really, really busy, in recreation anyway. We are about to kick off our summer camps at Redwood Grove. So that's starting in a couple weeks, and we're super excited about that. We also have been able to bring back some favorite events that we haven't done since pre-COVID. Our summer concert series starts on the 15th of June, and we're going, we have 4 concerts at Grant Park and 2 will be here at Hillview on Thursday nights, starting June 15th, for 6 weeks, except for the 4th of July week. And the reason we skipped that week is because we actually will be having our Glorious 4th event on the 4th of July, on the actual day, at Shout Park. And we haven't done that since pre-COVID time as well. So we are busy preparing for all of that. In addition, we have another Family Fun Day in June. Been a very popular event, thanks to the Friends who have co-sponsored the event with the city. It's been a huge help, and it's a very, very popular and well-attended event. And the library also comes. One of the most popular activities. They're, what are they? The bots, the cube bots, Cublets. Very, very popular. The other big news is that we have finally opened our outdoor pickleball courts at Mackenzie. And it's been a long process, but we had to wait for the rain and everything before we could overline the courts. But that's done, and it's been very popular. There's going to be a little ribbon cutting later in the month to celebrate. You just got those same date.
The 14th.
The 14th. So that we're excited about that.
At 2 p.m.
The 14th at 2 p.m. is the ribbon cutting. So yeah, that's all I have.
Was in the town crier. Yes.
That's right. On the front of the town crier was pickleball finally comes to Los Altos. Well, we've had pickleball, it's just indoor at Aiken Gym. But now we have the outdoor, and it's still a pilot program, and we'll see how it goes, but so far it's been very good. We installed a lot of sound mitigation to keep it from being too loud for the neighbors and the businesses that are all right around there. But
Hey, any questions for Mary Jo? Okay, thank you, Mary Jo. And now we have the subcommittee reports. The first one is the awareness report, which Carol and I are on the awareness subcommittee. And we are pleased to report that Rose is going to take over the awareness subcommittee ad creations. We'll just review them as a courtesy, but maybe find a typo. Who knows?
Probably not.
Probably not. So thank you, Rose, and that will help with the transition, so that's really wonderful. We did want to ask our fellow commissioners, unfortunately, the brain cells are not what they used to be, and I know that in past meetings, you have suggested items that the awareness subcommittee should be working on to help raise awareness of or publicize. And if you can recall what those items were and bring them to our attention, perhaps through Mary Jo, we would be happy to work on those. Okay? And that's all I think we have to report. Any questions? Okay. The next subcommittee is infrastructure, which is Carol, myself, and Nelvin. And we've been working on the Woodland Outdoor Patio project, as you know. And just today, we were, I have to thank Jennifer and Rose for helping get the cost estimate done. Person who was doing it is on medical leave, and so they stepped in and got Alex, a consultant to the district, to do the cost estimate for the patio for us. And it's a detailed assessment that I just shared before the meeting with Nelvin and Carol, and I just got it, so I'll give it to you.
You can send it to
And
me.
I'll send it to you, and she can circulate it to the rest of the commission. But the bottom line is the project, the total cost is projected to be $237,000, which is like orders of magnitude less than my professional cost estimating. So, so anyway, it's a pleasant surprise. There it is, and at the future agendas, items for future agenda, I'll discuss what we want to do next step. Any questions? Okay, so the next subcommittee to report is the future subcommittee, which is Commissioners Bedard, Chair Crane, and Commissioner G.
So that is the report that so the future subcommittees, actually, we're working on a report for the NCLA right now. And we've had the first draft of it. We're going back and forth on it, but essentially we're going to clarify the question or do. What we've done, what I've done, and what actually Nelvin's done and everybody on the commission has done is a lot of research and a lot of writing, and hopefully some of that writing gets read. This piece of writing happens to be about library naming rights. If you go to the next page, I'll just go, and I'll just leave it. It's in the minutes. It's also on library.bedard.com, and we'll go there next. But the key questions: what are naming rights? Are there jurisdictional and local issues specific to Los Altos and Santa Clara County? And what's the best practices used by libraries? I looked at those three things. So on naming rights, I took the liberty, and I'm scrolling up. I took the liberty of basically going to Wikipedia and defining naming rights and nonprofit organization. I just roll up to the next page.
Well, you read it now that you've got it figured and say.
And then I looked at Sonoma County, which goes under that, the next page. And Sonoma County is a rather large county. Go to the next page real quick. It's got naming rights, keep scrolling down. So I've included all their naming rights policies, and I'm looking at it only to know what they're doing. And this, you look at, I mean, the interesting thing about doing this research is people had itemized down what a brick would cost in their schema. So if we're going to be in the business of raising money for construction, it would behoove us to at least have a strategy. But lucky for us, there is a strategy. And if we go to the very end, where I have minutes from an NCLA subcommittee meeting, You know, believe it or not, we've lived this history in 2018. And Suzanne, you're noted in the minutes along with Diane, and it was from John Maginot, where he basically gave a recommendation as what Los Altos should do about this very issue. And what it comes down to, he actually quotes, and I've got it in here at the end. There it is, City of Los Altos, there's the memo, go further, well, that's a quote. But he's got, I've included the memo in there, and you can read through it. But what he does is basically say, hey, the city council can do whatever they want. In other words, there is an ordinance covering this, but at the end of the day, you know, elections happen for a reason. I mean, the city council can always make a determination around this naming policy. And in this case, you know, if you're looking at naming, you're going to be getting, you are essentially a naming rights. It's like Oracle Park. It's money for a name. And you look at the Diane Whipple, did I get that right? No, I did not. Sorry, apologies. But even that, right? That's a name that has, I mean, that's what she bought when she gave her monies for building. And you also have the fountain, where you've got to look at, you know, not so much that you've got to do the right thing, obviously, but you've got to have a policy. That's my point to this. So anyway, this is something I wrote up. There's a lot of this type of things, and you can see here, Cindy was there. Who else is there? Cindy, Bob Simon from Lawley, who recently passed, the great Bob Simon. Nancy Howe was there. Suzanne, you were there. Diane was there. David Smith was there. David Smith showed up at our joint meeting that we held. So, you know, there's a lot of the same players that come back, and we don't need to reinvent anything. It's been thought through before in the past, is my point. Even the methodology for the NCLA, the way the NCLA did something in 2018, where they were the chartering organization for the subcommittees to go out and, you know, decide what to do. It all resided under the NCLA at that point, but they were completely separate from it. And you were there. So, and, you know, the committees went out and did their business. So anyway, don't forget the past. And sure.
Yeah, I have a question for you. I didn't hear you mention Cupertino. Cupertino already has plaques. We were there, remember? They're already doing that. So what is their relationship between the donor and their library commission or equivalent and their council? Because that would be a good model.
That's a really good question. And I think the way it works is they go through the county, because Cupertino fundamentally is a county library. I mean, I don't know for sure. We need to find that out.
Well,
but I bet they probably.
I think this whole idea is a very good idea, the naming idea. We have wealthy people here who would love to have their name on a plaque. Yeah. And why shouldn't we oblige them after all?
The Palo Alto Library, the other ones was making it they have big names on their rooms in their library.
Well, Rose, doesn't Santa Clara County Library District have rules and the policies about all of your?
Yeah, the Cupertino, I know Jennifer was involved with it, so we could get you some more information. I personally wasn't, so I can't provide any
further talk. I do cover Santa Clara, like after the Los Altos or before the Los Altos memo. Okay. It's like the last thing I look at.
Yeah.
It's literally, yeah,
that's probably a really pertinent policy.
Yeah, isn't the count, I wrote right, no, go down further.
Down?
I apologize. The web is just unforgiving.
Yes.
Right there.
Under jurisdiction.
Right there. Is it the county, the city of Los Altos, the town of Los Altos Hills, the NCLA, and what of all the volunteer groups? What of Lawley? What of FOL? What of their stake in the rules? I mean, all these things, you know, we have a complex ecosystem. And what's the bifurcation? I called it the bifurcation of an apology. What's the split between city and county?
Okay, anybody have questions for Pierre? Or,
Is it mainly to consider patio project, or is it just a general concern? I mean, is it specific?
I looked at it generally. And because we were looking at it, the subcommittee was really looking, and I think this was written maybe a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And it looked at it generally, looking at different library districts, like of different size. And
So
then,
now we're worried about it with regard to patio project.
does it have, yeah, is there impact?
Is that?
There may not be.
Are you talking about for the future, like for future building projects?
Oh, no, I think it would impact the patio project if you have, I think does it impact the fountain? The memorial fountain? Does it?
Patio project has the $500,000.
Well,
Yeah, that should be the name.
yeah, well, okay,
Anyway,
that's something that's is going to be addressed in the future, and it will be addressed between Lolly, the donors, the Lolly and the library and the city.
And is there a distinction between naming something versus having a plaque that says it was sponsored by? In other words, you're not naming the room or the building or what have you, you're just.
Recognizing donors. There's plaques recognizing donors, and then there's name.
I think every instance of every possible way you can license out a name is covered in my paper. Just about every different way a library is sold its name, or sold a brick, or sold some kind of honorarium. I mean, it just is that extensive. I looked at different groups that did different things. But we need to pick one. Or make a decision like the city did in 2018 with John's memo to the NCLA. Yes, about the same thing, which is in this. Anyway. And on the futures, as I mentioned before, we're going to continue to look at, I want to definitely have a more of an assessment on the patio project. Like I said before, at least this is, I'll speak personally, so I'm not going to speak. And that's it from the future section.
Okay, any questions? Okay, so the next subcommittee is services, and that's Commissioner Bedard, Chair Crane, and Commissioner Fawcett.
Can we please go to the web and go to https library.bedard.com, please? I did not print out.
I already had it in my browser. Give me just a moment. And let me go back to.
I keep seeing the fan going, and I think it's the
There it is.
thing that you wait, you circle that you wait while things are loaded.
All right, so I mean, this is a page where I have all sorts of papers that are on here, but go up to the top menu, please. Where it says services, you see you have all the subcommittees. You can click on what's been published. You click on services. Articles on library tech obsolescence. Click on that, please.
I'm sorry, what, the right?
There's fine.
Okay.
So what you'll find here are 3 different articles on obsolescence, obsolete formats and technologies. And you can see that I linked to the articles. I didn't bring them on the website themselves, but they talk about different areas. And the idea here is this is when Brian was here. And we were looking at, are there ways we can look at the materials that we have on the shelves or that we are storing? Is there anything obsolescent? And are there any strategies for doing this? As part of the services subcommittee, we came up with some ideas and some papers that he could review and the library could review to give them ideas when it came time to looking to take stuff down. And the primary issues here had to do specifically with CDs, DVDs, things that are older technology, are considered older technology, but the library actually does an amazing business in CDs. I mean, am I right?
Yeah.
And on the film side, there are people who love getting DVDs from the library because they can't find them anywhere else. The real, high film guys. So anyway, we looked at that, go down a little further. a great thing, the Museum of Obsolete Library Science. Where you can look at stuff and then go to the next one. This one is actually a PDF that covers, scroll down to, so I have on my website, I can easily put up PDF documents. You can download this, about 40 pages. It has stuff on aging, but it has like 38 pages on COVID and not dealing with the COVID stuff, like we had to wash things, but what do you do after? And that happens to be in there, and we put that together as part of the services subcommittee. Outside of that, we want to engage with you, Rose, at the right time to talk about services and what you see and what we can support as we roll out new services be it with the patio project, or whatever comes after.
We have the stuff with the strategic plan too that I need to meet with Julie to discuss.
Yes.
For sure.
And yeah, everything I know we're doing is you're sticking with that. And then that's it for services. Sure, we look.
Any questions? Okay. So no questions. We'll go to item number 10, which are requests for future agenda items.
You didn't do infrastructure.
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
That's right. Okay, you talked about the patio. You didn't mention the parking.
I didn't. Would you like to,
I would like to bring that up.
okay, please go ahead.
I'm concerned, and there have been there's been more than one article in the town crier regarding the sacrifice of parking, which I think is a really bad idea, considering the traffic pattern at the library in order to facilitate dogs. And you go there any time of the day and night, there's maybe 1 or 2 dogs. It's not a heavily used park. And I think that we should take a position on the sacrifice of parking places. It's bad enough to find a parking place if you want to go to the library. And maybe even there should be a one-way road, or what do you call that? The driveway that comes in. It's really, I think as a citizen who uses the library a lot, it's really unacceptable to cut back 16 or 17 parking places when there's already a shortage. And I do believe we should take a stand on that.
Okay, that's not agendized.
No.
Right, it's not agenda, so and I'll just jump in to mention, since this is that nothing has been decided about what will happen with the dog park. It hasn't been designed, they haven't even hired the designer yet. So while it is possible that parking could be lost, it could also be gained somewhere else or moved. There's nothing at this point to really comment on, because there's no plan yet.
I think we should take a position.
Oh,
And there is no other place to find parking for the library. You're talking about people with little kids or seniors on walkers and all of this, but still have them parking 3 blocks away.
Okay,
That's my
okay.
rant for the night.
Okay.
You could add it as a future agenda
I
item.
can add that as a future agenda item, and I will, would you want that added as a future agenda item?
Yes.
Okay. Does anybody have any other future agenda items?
I'd like the mayor or our council member at some point. I mean, we're supposed to be new or get new rules, or to actually sit down with us and talk to us about it and put that as an agenda item. I mean, I think we already asked for that.
Okay, so Mayor, as our council liaison, were you able to hear Commissioner Bedard?
Yes, I did hear him. My understanding is once the changes are actually adopted, which takes a second reading, which would presumably be at the next council meeting, then the staff liaisons will be agendizing that for each and every commission to explain what, how it affects, if at all, each and every commission. So that's already intended. The update hasn't happened because it's not officially adopted until we have the second reading of the ordinance.
Thank you. Does anyone else have an agenda item? I have one, if no one else has one. Okay, I'd like to add to a future agenda a discussion by the commission of approaching. I would like the commission to discuss and hopefully approve that we go to the city council to ask for their approval to do private fundraising for the Woodland Patio project. And the reason I think if that's necessary is that it's city land, and if any patio were to be built out on that land adjacent to the Woodland building, the city council would have to approve that. So we can't fundraise without having the implicit or explicit approval of the city council for the use of that land to build out the patio. I mean, we couldn't raise funds ethically without having assurance that those funds could be used for the purposes that we raise them for. And so it would be similar, Mayor, to the approval for the theater to go ahead and see if it can raise funds. And that's the proposal for an agenda item.
So the agenda item is to discuss gaining approval from city council to raise, to pursue private fundraising for the patio project at the Woodland Library.
Yes. And it would be the commission giving a
Commission,
approval for that to have, for us to go before the city council.
I'd like to expand that. I'd like to expand the discussion as to private versus public. Because frankly, I'm getting uncomfortable with the difference between private and public that's going on here, and with people straddling both universes. It doesn't make me happy. And I think it needs to be up for discussion. And I think it goes right in there in terms of fundraising. A public institution and a private institution have different rules for damn good reasons.
Well,
anyway, that's, I'm saying expand it. If you don't want to expand it and no one wants to take me up on that, that's fine.
the reason here that I would not be in favor of expanding it, and, you know, don't get upset, I'm just saying the reason that I think it would not be a good idea to expand it is I don't think there's any money in the city budget for this. It would be so far down the list of priorities, I'd probably be dead by the time it ever rose up to.
Well, I don't want to debate the issue right now, and I'm not upset. And actually, I sort of resent people thinking I'm upset. I mean, I read about how upset we are, the commissioners are in the paper. My name isn't there, but I'm just, okay, anyway.
I apologize, I just misread your body language, but anyway, if you don't mind, I would like for the agenda item to just be, to try to raise money from the community, because I don't think there's money available from the city. Maybe I'm pleasantly surprised.
I don't think it's an issue of where the money comes from. I think it's an issue of what the role of the commission versus what private fundraising organizations do. I think that's a gist. Sorry.
Okay, so you can, why don't, you know.
Yeah, I'd like to see
At
it.
the discussion, you can raise those issues and that we'll have a full discussion. That's the whole purpose of me asking for it to be on the agenda, is so the commission can discuss it and either approve it or not approve it.
And I second your proposal to put it on the agenda, but I also bring up my own proposal that we have an open discussion about the veil between private and public. Because I think the veil's getting pierced. Second or not.
I'm happy to second it. I mean, if it's an important discussion, let's have it.
You wanna ask the city council if they would, fund it, or you just gonna assume they won't?
Wanna give them a chance to say no?
That's a very good point. She asked whether or not I want to ask the city council whether or not they would fund it, whether or not the commission should ask the city council whether or not they would fund it. Well, you know what, Suzanne, that's a very good thought. So we could amend the future item to say, let's have a discussion. Let's ask for a commission approval to ask the city council for whether they would fund this patio. And if not, full or partial, and if no funds are forthcoming from the city, do we have permission to fundraise based on like an MOU that they will allow us to use that land, that lot to build this patio, should we be successful in raising the funds?
The agenda item can be broad enough, and simpler, so that it will just be about, approaching council regarding funding for the Woodland Patio project, and then
I'll draft
we
it.
can put all of that.
We don't even need a motion.
If that is okay.
Because then that's really good, because
We'll
that
just
way,
broaden it, and then all of this discussion can happen.
and any other idea that comes up during the discussion. Excellent, thank you. Any other future agenda items? I think we're adjourned. Thank you very much, everyone.
Mary Jo, I have a request,
Yeah.
and that is that we have a microphone in future meetings.
Absolutely. We have